After graduating college and facing sky-high rent in the city, I made what I thought was a practical decision. I moved back home. My dad and stepmom were more than welcoming, especially since I was the responsible one in the family. My older brother had moved out years ago, and my younger sister had just gotten married. It felt like the perfect chance to regroup, save some money, and plan for grad school. At first, things felt almost peaceful. My stepmom, Denise, was incredibly sweet. She made dinner most nights. She asked about my job, and she treated me like her own daughter. My dad and she seemed like a happy couple, or at least a functioning one. But underneath that surface, I began noticing things that didn't sit right. Let's rewind a bit. My younger sister's wedding was last year. It was a beautiful ceremony, a gorgeous outdoor setting with string lights, live music, and the whole fairy tale vibe. But what should have been one of the happiest days in our family became the moment everything shifted, at least for me. During the reception, after a few too many drinks, I saw something that I can't unsee. My dad, making out with a woman who was not Denise. At first, I thought I must have been mistaken. Maybe it was an old friend, a relative, something innocent. But no, I knew what I saw. Full-on kissing, whispering, touching. They were tucked away near the back patio where the lights were dim, probably thinking no one would catch them. I wasn't the only one who saw. My older brother and sister noticed too. We all met up outside the bathroom afterward in what I can only describe as a stunned huddle. Do we tell her? Do we confront him? In the end, we did nothing. We stayed quiet. Maybe because we were in shock. Maybe because we didn't want to ruin the wedding. But now, I wonder if that silence made us complicit. Flash forward to me living at home again. The memory of that night started to fade into the background until I began noticing my dad's new habits. He'd leave at odd hours saying he was meeting a friend. Sometimes I'd ask who, and he'd change the subject. He started taking these long walks right after dinner, clutching his phone like it was glued to his hand. He'd get texts and immediately leave the room. He'd lock himself in the garage for private calls. One day, I heard him outside talking. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but my window was cracked. He was laughing, flirting, using a voice I'd never heard him use before. Low, smooth, younger. "I'll see you soon," he said. My heart dropped. I recognized the voice he used because I'd heard it before, at the wedding. It was the same exact tone he used that night. The same fake charm. That's when I knew. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was something deeper. Something ongoing. I got brave, or maybe stupid, and decided to follow him one day when he said he was going for a walk. He had no idea I was behind him in my car a block away. He didn't walk anywhere. He got into his car, drove across town, and parked in front of a cozy little cafe. And then, there she was. Same woman from the wedding. She walked up to him, smiled, and they hugged like old lovers. They went inside and sat together, laughing like teenagers on a date. I watched them from a distance for almost 45 minutes. When they came out, he kissed her hand and walked her to her car. My heart was racing the entire time, and for the first time in my life, I felt disgusted by my own father. Here's where things get complicated. My stepmom has no idea. She smiles at him every morning like he's her world. She makes his coffee. She irons his shirts. She trusts him in a way that makes me sick now because it's all built on a lie. I started feeling guilty every time I sat down at the dinner table. Every time I laughed at one of his stupid dad jokes. Every time Denise asked me how my day was. I was carrying this secret for him, and it made me feel like a traitor. Part of me, maybe the girl code part, screamed that I had to tell her. That women should protect each other even if it hurts. That she deserves to know who she's sleeping next to every night. But the other part of me, the daughter, kept wondering, what if telling her destroys everything? What if my dad never forgives me? What if I end up causing a divorce? Am I prepared to be the grenade that blows up this family? This wasn't his first rodeo. My dad has been married 3 times. My biological mom left him when I was 5 after she caught him cheating. His second marriage ended for the same reason. Denise was supposed to be his fresh start, his redemption arc. But leopards don't change their spots. They just hide them better. What hurts the most is realizing that the person I thought I could trust, the man who used to tuck me in at night, is still the same selfish person he always was. And now I'm stuck in this limbo, where I have to choose between doing what's right and protecting someone who doesn't deserve it. So here I am, living at home, sitting on a secret that could tear my family apart. I think about telling Denise every day. Sometimes I rehearse it in the mirror. Sometimes I write it all down and then delete it. I haven't done it. Not yet. I'm not proud of myself for staying silent. But I'm also not sure if I'm strong enough to deal with the fallout. My siblings don't want to get involved. Let them figure it out on their own, they say. But I'm the one living with it, literally. I don't want revenge. I don't want chaos. I just want peace. But I'm starting to wonder if I'll ever feel at peace while living in a house built on a lie. I guess I'm sharing this now because I need help. I need advice. What would you do if you knew your own parent was cheating? Would you tell your stepmom and risk blowing everything up? Or would you walk away and let karma do its thing? Sometimes the hardest betrayals don't come from lovers. They come from the people who raised you. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever been in a situation like this, or if you just have advice, drop a comment below. I read every single one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want more real, raw, and personal stories like this one. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Let me take you back to how this all started. I, 20 male, was in a relationship with my boyfriend Liam, 22 male, for almost 2 years. We weren't perfect, but we had our rhythm. We laughed, fought, made up, shared meals, shared dreams, and explored a few alternative experiences together. One of those experiences was a threesome, a one-time thing with a mutual friend, Callie. Now, for the record, that night wasn't my idea. Liam had hinted at it a few times, and I wasn't exactly sold on it. But after weeks of conversations and boundaries being set, I agreed. And honestly, I hated every second of it. I felt invisible, unwanted, like a guest at my own relationship. Afterward, I told Liam it was a one-time thing, never again. And he agreed, said he understood, that he just wanted to try something new. We moved on, or so I thought. Fast forward a few months, we were going through a rough patch financially. I had just started a part-time internship while juggling school, and Liam was in between jobs. We were trying to save up for a phone I'd been eyeing, something I'd dreamed about for over a year, and he even chipped in the last bit to help me get it. We decided to celebrate. Nothing big, just drinks at a low-key bar in a new part of town. We didn't know the area well, and since phones were a risk for pickpockets, we left ours at home and carried a cheap burner with limited access. No social apps, no location tracking, just for emergencies. As we were figuring out where to go, I called my friend Tessa, who knew the area. She misunderstood and thought we were inviting her along. I didn't mind. Tessa was cool. A little chaotic, sure, but fun. She said she'd bring a friend and meet us there. The night was wild. Too wild, honestly. Drinks kept flowing, jokes turned louder, laughter messier, and before long it was 2 a.m., and we were completely drunk. Tessa and her friend were heading back to her place, and since no cabs were available and we didn't have our phones, she suggested we crash at hers for a few hours. At that point, it sounded like a blessing. Tessa offered us her bed. She said we could all crash in there. Liam and I had no objections. We were exhausted. We arranged ourselves, so Tessa was in the middle, with me on one side and Liam on the other. We turned opposite directions so heads weren't near each other. It felt safe, normal, uncomplicated. I passed out almost immediately, but what I didn't know was that while I slept, something happened. Something I wouldn't find out about until much later, when Liam confessed. He woke me up around 6 a.m., nudging me for sex. I was groggy, barely able to open my eyes, and I told him to wait until we got home. He asked again and again. I said no, firmly. I thought he was just being a drunk, horny idiot. Turns out he wasn't just being horny. He was actively being touched by Tessa. It was a day later. We were home, lying on my bed, and something was off. Liam was quiet, too quiet. His phone stayed face down. He wasn't looking me in the eyes. Then, out of nowhere, he said, "I need to tell you something." My stomach sank. He told me that while I was asleep, he felt someone touching him. It wasn't me. It was Tessa. And instead of stopping her, said he thought it was okay because of what happened last time. Apparently, they kissed. He fondled her, she him off while I was literally feet away, dead asleep. He said she tried to go further, tried to climb on top of him. That's when he said he stopped it. But I'm not even sure I believe that. Why? Because he tried to have sex with me immediately afterward, like he needed to finish what she started. And when I asked him why he'd do this to me, he looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I thought you'd be okay with it." You said no more of that, but maybe this time would be better. I was speechless, shaking, betrayed in a way I couldn't put into words. He kept repeating that he didn't technically cheat, that it wasn't sex, that I was overreacting, that I should be mad at Tessa, not him. But let's get real. He made a choice, a conscious, disgusting, selfish choice. I trusted him. I gave him the benefit of the doubt when I shouldn't have. I don't care that we had a threesome once. That didn't give him a forever pass to violate my boundaries and pretend it was out of love for me. Do you know what the worst part is? He asked me if he could sleep with her again while she was still touching him, as if that was something you casually bring up while your girlfriend is half asleep next to you. I broke up with him. Of course I did. But it hasn't been easy. I've spent days replaying everything, wondering how I missed the signs, beating myself up for ever saying yes to that first threesome, asking myself if I was too uptight, too boring, too naive. But the truth, I wasn't the problem. My boundaries were clear. My consent was not given, and he didn't care. He wanted a moment of pleasure, and for that, he destroyed everything. As for Tessa, I haven't spoken to her since. I didn't confront her. I didn't scream or cry or send angry texts. I just walked away, quietly. Finally, because I've learned that some people will betray you with a smile on their face and think they're still the hero in your story. To anyone out there who feels stuck in a situation like this, who's questioning themselves after being disrespected and violated, please remember, your body is yours. Your boundaries matter. And if someone truly loved you, they wouldn't even come close to crossing that line. You don't owe anyone silence. You don't owe anyone a second chance. What you owe is to yourself, to heal, to rise, to walk away and never look back. Because people like that don't deserve the weight of your loyalty. That's my story. It still hurts, but I'm learning to let it go, slowly, day by day. If you've ever been betrayed like this, drop your thoughts in the comments. You're not alone. And maybe, just maybe, sharing your story can help someone else walk away too. Thanks for listening. You ever reach a point in life where everything you thought was stable just shatters beneath your feet? That's where I'm at right now. I'm 28 weeks pregnant, alone, confused, and barely hanging on. This isn't just a breakup story. It's the unraveling of a life I spent years trying to build with someone who was never really building with me. It's about love, betrayal, responsibility, and the chaos that follows when trust is broken and there's a baby on the way. So buckle up, because this story has layers and none of them are easy. It started off like any other relationship in your early 20s, messy but passionate. I was 23 when I met Eric. He was charming, fun, and had this wild energy about him that I mistook for confidence. We met through mutual friends at a game night. I'd just gotten out of a long-term relationship and wasn't even looking for anything serious. But Eric was persistent. He said everything I wanted to hear. Within a few months, we were inseparable. He moved in a little too fast, like we'd only been dating 4 months when he brought a suitcase over and just never left. But I didn't mind. I thought that's what love looked like. Messy, spontaneous, exciting. I ignored the small red flags, like how he never really kept a job for long, or how he'd pick fights over things like me texting my mom too much, or how he called every single one of my guy friends suspicious. But when you're in it, when you love someone, those red flags look a lot like pink. We were living together full-time by year 2. I was the stable one, working a decent job, paying most of the bills, holding it down while he figured himself out. It didn't start with screaming. That's the thing about emotional and verbal abuse. It sneaks up on you in whispers, not roars. He'd make little comments. "You're getting kind of boring lately. Maybe if you lost a little weight, you'd feel better about yourself." I don't know how you manage to make every day feel like a chore. At first, I brushed it off, laughed even, told myself he's just being honest or he doesn't mean it like that. But over time, it became constant. He'd call me lazy when I was working double shifts, say I was too emotional when I cried, accuse me of cheating when I stayed late at work. I started shrinking around him, apologizing for existing too loudly, asking for permission to feel things. And when I found out I was pregnant, I thought maybe, just maybe, it would change something. When I found out I was pregnant, I cried, not out of fear, not at first, but out of hope. I thought maybe this would be the turning point, that he'd finally step up, get serious, be the partner I knew he could be. When I told him, he cried too, but not the way I expected. He looked more terrified than joyful, said things like, "I guess this means I really have to find a job now," and "What if I'm not ready to be a dad?" Still, I stayed optimistic. I believe that people rise to the occasion when given the chance. I was wrong. It all came crashing down 2 months ago. We were arguing again. He'd left the AC running for 2 days straight while I was out of town, and the electric bill had doubled. When I brought it up, he exploded. Said I was nagging, that I treat him like a child. And something in me snapped. I told him to get out. And that's when he cracked, too. He started sobbing, told me he was scared, that he'd been talking to other girls because he needed validation, that he never cheated physically, just emotionally. He said they were just conversations, just backup plans in case I left, a safety net, a safety net. I was 25 weeks pregnant when I found out the man I loved had been setting up women on the side just in case. Like I was some unstable weather system he needed to be prepared for. Like I was temporary. After that, I cut him off emotionally. But the logistics were harder. Our lease, it was in my name. The utilities, I paid for all of them. And him, he refused to move out. He said, "I have nowhere to go." Told me he'd contribute eventually. But every day I come home from work and he's on the couch, gaming, eating more groceries, sleeping in the guest room, and acting like I'm the crazy one. He texts me every night, begs me to take him back, sends voicemails at 2 a.m., crying. It's a mind game, and I'm so exhausted. I want to scream. Why should I feel guilty for leaving a man who emotionally abused me, cheated on me, and is now freeloading in my apartment while I'm growing a whole human inside me? But the guilt still creeps in, because I'm scared too. I'm scared I won't be able to raise a baby alone. I'm scared of being evicted if he keeps skipping out on the bills. And yeah, I'm scared of what it'll mean for our child if I cut him out completely. That's the hardest part. Not the betrayal, not the rent, not the heartbreak. It's thinking about this baby and wondering, how do I explain to them that their father didn't choose us? How do I protect them from someone I used to love? How do I balance wanting him gone with knowing that kids need their parents? I go back and forth. One day, I'm ready to erase him completely. The next, I feel crushing guilt, thinking of my child asking, "Where's Daddy?" and not knowing what to say. He keeps saying he wants to step up. But what does that mean when he couldn't even step out the door to find a job? Last week, something changed. I got a notice from the landlord. Rent was overdue. Turns out he hadn't paid his half like he said. I was on the verge of eviction. And that was the moment I realized, if I don't protect myself now, there won't be anything left for me to offer this baby. So I filed for a legal separation and began the eviction process. I'm working with a housing advocate and my HR department at work to find temporary housing if needed. I opened a new bank account, changed the locks on my mail, blocked my everything except one emergency line. I've chosen me and I've chosen my child. To anyone out there in a situation like mine, you are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not overreacting. It takes strength to walk away from someone you once thought you'd grow old with. It takes power to choose peace over chaos, especially when a tiny life is depending on you. And as for him, he can keep sending voicemails at 2 a.m. But I'm done listening. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever walked away from a toxic partner or found strength when you thought you had none, share your story in the comments. And if you're in the middle of the mess right now, just know you will get through it.